Students, let us move on to the next session, session 3. We are discussing exception and interrupt handling schemes. And in this session, we will be learning what are interrupts, how to assign interrupts to various sources, what is interrupt latency. And in our previous classes, we learned what is exception, what is exception handling, and then we learned ARM processor exceptions and associated modes, and then we learned vector table, and then we learned exception priorities, and then we learned link register offsets. Now, let us learn what are interrupts. So, exceptions are raised by basically error conditions. And other than these error conditions, we call others as exceptions. Other than exceptions, other than error conditions, we call them as interrupts. These interrupts are basically raised by the requests from external hardware peripherals connected to the ARM core. And they may also be raised by a specific instruction. And interrupts can be disabled. Interrupts can be disabled. And interrupts are classified into two categories, like based on the source of their based on the source. Like interrupts may be raised by external hardware, and interrupts may be raised by a special instruction or a specific instruction called SWI instruction. So the interrupts which are raised by external hardware are IRQ and FIQ interrupts, and the interrupt raised by a specific instruction is the SWI interrupt or SWI interrupt instruction. And this is about interrupts. And now let us discuss how these interrupts will be assigned to different sources. See, assigning the interrupts to various sources of these interrupts is up to the embedded system designer. There is no specific rule as to this interrupt should be, this interrupt source should be connected to this interrupt. It is all dependent, or it is all the decision of the embedded system designer. He knows how to handle these requests and which request should be handled on priority, and which exception handling can be delayed. This is all the decision of the embedded system designer. There is no specific rule for that. Usually, these software interrupt or the SWI interrupt instruction is used to get some privileged operating systems or operating system routines executed. So one best example is SWI 0x66. So this number 0x66 specifically activates a subroutine which is meant for opening a file. So when this SWI exception occurs, it carries this number along with that. And this number, the SWI instruction exception handler will decode this number, and it will invoke an open file routine. So this way there will be many operating system routines which need to be executed. This is done because usually the application softwares will not have direct access to the hardware resources connected to the ARM core. In order to get something done from these external peripherals or hardware resources, we will have to make use of this kind of routines, operating system routines. In many cases, we call it as basic IO routines or BIOS routines. So such services cannot be executed directly by the application software. Application softwares will make use of this kind of calls supported by the operating system or underlying basic IO handling mechanisms, and that is the use of software interrupt instruction. So next comes the interrupt requests. That is the general purpose interrupt requests. These interrupt requests may be from many peripherals attached to the ARM core, like timer, external interrupt requests, and UART, DAC, ADC. All the peripherals attached to the timer, all the peripherals attached to the ARM core will be raising these interrupts. So these interrupts, since they are large in number and since they are not of that important or they need not be attended uh, at priority, they can be connected to usually IRQ interrupt request. There is only one IRQ interrupt request to the ARM core. How can we connect so many interrupt requests? So this is where comes the vector interrupt controller. So in ARM7, what we are learning now, there is a vector interrupt controller attached to the ARM core. So all these interrupt requests generated from the peripherals are connected to the vector interrupt controller, and vector interrupt controller will in turn maintain the exception handler addresses and priority, masking, enabling everything on its own, and it will intimate the interrupt request to the ARM core through either IRQ or FIQ as per the settings in the VIQ, I mean vector interrupt controller hardware registers. So this is about general purpose interrupt requests. And next type is the fast interrupt request. Usually IRQ is used to connect to the peripherals, and FIQ will generally have a single source, or FIQ will be connected normally to a single source of interrupt, which requires the fastest response. So again, now it is up to the embedded system designer to decide which source should be treated as the urgent one and which source requires the fastest response time. And accordingly, he can plan to connect either to IRQ request or to FIQ signal. So it is up to the embedded system designer, and these are the general rules which will be followed when assigning interrupts to the sources. One such example for the fast interrupt request is the watchdog timer interrupt. So this interrupt, we use normally this interrupt to alert the operating system or to restart the operating system or the application when it is stuck in some loops. Sometimes you might have noticed, sometimes our embedded systems get stuck in loops and they do not respond for any of our inputs, keyboard, touchscreen, nothing will respond. So when the embedded system gets stuck in such loops, these watchdog timers help in bringing out the system from the loops. So that is the reason why such requests are connected to the FIQ, and they will be serviced with the fastest possible means. Next, let us understand what is interrupt latency. So interrupt latency is the interval of time from an external interrupt signal being raised and to the fetch of the first instruction from the exception handler. This is the delay between the external interrupt request signal being raised and the exception handler executed, or the beginning of the exception handler. Time delay between the external interrupt request signal being raised to the first instruction, fetch of the first instruction. So this delay is called interrupt latency. And this interrupt latency occurs because of the various reasons, and it depends both on the hardware and the software. So interrupt latency depends both on the hardware and the software, how it is handled in software, how the prioritization is handled, and it depends on the hardware also. To which source of the ARM core, that is IRQ and FIQ, these interrupt sources are connected. So the latency depends. The latency varies. And next, how to reduce this interrupt latency should be minimum. For the best response of the embedded system, interrupt latency should always be minimum, means all the requests should be handled in zero time ideally. That may not happen practically. So there are some mechanisms which we can use to reduce this response time or to reduce this interrupt latency. So such methods are the nesting of the interrupt handler and prioritization. There are two methods using which we can reduce the interrupt latency to a considerable extent. Then what is this nested interrupt handler and what is prioritization? Nested interrupt handler. So assume that the processor is executing some task. So suddenly an exception occurs or the interrupt occurs, and this is the first interrupt which has occurred, and the processor will stop the main task there and it will branch to the interrupt service routine, and it starts executing the interrupt service routine. So when it is executing the interrupt service routine, it should re-enable the interrupts, so that if some other interrupt is raised, and that will also be serviced. So that is why what we do when executing the interrupt handler is we enable the interrupt system. This is where we enable the interrupt system and we allow further interrupts to be recognized, and assume that another interrupt has popped up when it is servicing that interrupt. That is the interrupt 2. So the ARM core, what it does is it will stop that interrupt service and it will branch to the service routine of the corresponding to the interrupt 2 request, and it will start executing that interrupt handler, and it will re-enable the interrupt system so that further interrupts will be recognized further to serve them. So this is the nesting of interrupt handling scheme. This is the scheme of nesting the interrupt handling. So when it is servicing the second interrupt, it will enable the interrupt system again so that interrupts will be further recognized. So now see what happens is another interrupt has occurred and it takes a branch to the third interrupt handler, and it can go on to any depth according to the system designer's tolerance, and he is the one who decides to what depth this interrupt nesting can be allowed. It depends on the various availability of various resources like stack, size of the stack, and how it is handled, everything. So it cannot be allowed to go to any depth like this. There is some limitation also, and it depends on how this nesting is handled. So now it has entered the servicing of the third interrupt request, and it is executing the third interrupt handler, and it has enabled the interrupt system again, and luckily there is no interrupt request further. So it completes the servicing of this interrupt 3, and it will return to the interrupt service routine corresponding to the second interrupt, and it will complete that exception, that interrupt handler, and it will return to the first interrupt handler where it had stopped, and it will complete the interrupt handler of the first interrupt, and it will return safely to the main task. This is how interrupt handling is nested, and this is how it is handled. So the red arrow indicates the exception handler, and the black arrows indicates the branching from one task to another task. And the region shown in the exception handling is where the exceptions are, the interrupts are re-enabled so that interrupts will be recognized further for servicing. This is the nesting of interrupt handling. And this way, what happens is all the exceptions will be treated and when they occur, and somehow interrupt latency is attempted to reduce, and it is attempted to, and thereby we are attempting to reduce the interrupt latency. So next method of reducing the interrupt latency is prioritization. So what is prioritization is, and this prioritization is handled by the interrupt controller. So the prioritization is handled by the interrupt, primarily by the interrupt controller. So it sets priority, different priority for different interrupt sources. It ignores the interrupts of the same or lower priority than the interrupts being handled. When one interrupt is being handled, it will simply not recognize, or it will not simply allow the interrupts of lower priority to be serviced. It will only consider the interrupts of higher priority than the one being serviced. So that is prioritization. Higher priority tasks can interrupt the lower priority tasks. So high priority task can interrupt the interrupt being serviced. If one interrupt is being serviced, only the interrupt of higher priority than this may interrupt this service routine, not the interrupts which are having lower priority. So this way, critical time sensitive interrupts will have a lower average latency. So those which are time sensitive will have the lower average latency. So interrupts having the higher priority will have the average lower interrupt latency with this prioritization. So this prioritization is basically handled by the vector interrupt controller. Since there are only two interrupt sources, there is already a hardware prioritization, that is FIQ will have higher priority than the IRQ, and this prioritization is in general discussed for the interrupt sources which are connected through the vector interrupt controller to IRQ. And this prioritization can be set by the programmer. There is no fixed prioritization in case of vector interrupt controller. Any interrupt source can be set any priority. So this is the second way of handling the interrupt, reducing the interrupt latency. So that's all in this session. Now let us discuss some questions to understand this session better. Let us take up the first question. Which of the following may cause an interrupt? An undefined instruction, memory fault, timer, all the above. See, though undefined instruction will raise an exception, we do not call it as, we do not treat it as interrupt. Since the question specifically is asking specifically the interrupt, it is the timer which causes the interrupt, not the memory fault and not the undefined instruction. They cause the errors or the exception. So the answer is timer. So next let us move on to the second question. A specific instruction that causes an exception is, so obviously the SWI instruction. That is the answer is the option 4. That is SWI. So next question. FIQ exceptions are handled quicker than IRQ because FIQ has higher priority and FIQ has last entry in the vector table. FIQ mode has 5 extra banked registers, all the above. See, FIQ exceptions are handled quicker than IRQ exceptions or IRQ interrupts because of all these reasons. All these reasons are favorable to FIQ interrupt handling. Because of all these reasons, FIQs will be handled in a better way or quicker than the IRQ interrupt. See, the hardware itself has given the higher priority for the FIQ exception. That's what is in the option A. And option B says FIQ has the last entry in the vector table. Yes, this is true. And this is given as the last entry because we can start writing the exception handler right from there, right from the vector location. So otherwise, in other cases, we will have to take a branch to other memory locations where we have written the exception handler. But in this case, in case of FIQ, we can start writing the exception handler right from that location, and that will save us time in branching. And the third option, FIQ mode has 5 extra banked registers. So this is also a favorable condition for FIQ because having extra banked registers, uh, uh, because of this feature, we need not save all the registers, or we already have enough registers for the FIQ exception to use. Otherwise, we will have to save the registers which we will be using during this exception handling. Since there are enough extra registers, general purpose registers for this, specifically for this mode, we can make use of them to handle this FIQ exception and reduce time which otherwise we would have spent in storing the context, storing the registers, backing up the registers and restoring the registers. So that is the reason why all these conditions are favorable for handling, are favorable for the FIQ exception to be handled quicker than the other exceptions. So answer is all the above. Next, interrupt latency can be minimized by option 1 prioritization, option 2 nesting, both A and B, and option D polling. So the answer is both prioritization and nesting. So the correct option is both A and B. The answer is C. Next, average latency is low for high priority interrupt, low priority interrupt, and middle priority interrupt, both A and B. See, average interrupt latency because of prioritization is low for high priority interrupts. So answer for this question is high priority interrupt, that is option A. So this is in the context of prioritization. Next question. Assume that you are designing a microwave oven with ARM controller. You have a door sensor which can generate an interrupt when opened. You need to switch off microwave power when door is opened at any time. If not switched off, user may suffer injury to his hand. Which interrupt would you prefer to connect the door sensor to? Option 1 reset, option 2 FIQ, option 3 IRQ, any of the above. See, this source, since it is a very important interrupt source and it has to take a very important decision, it should be connected to high priority interrupt request, that is FIQ interrupt. So if it is not handled in time and if it is not handled with minimum latency, there is a risk of the user experiencing serious injury to his hand. It may cause serious injury. So when you are designing a microwave oven, utmost importance should be given to this request. Means when the microwave oven is on and suddenly when the door is pulled, microwave power should be shut off immediately. And generally this feature is well implemented in almost all microwave ovens. So the option is the FIQ exception. We need not reset the system. If we handle the request with FIQ exception, it is good enough. Answer is FIQ. Similarly, next, you have a keyboard on the same O1 for user input with a controller to scan keyboard and report user input to the microcontroller. This keyboard controller also generates an interrupt on key press. Which interrupt would you prefer to connect this signal to? Reset, FIQ, IRQ, any of the above. See, in this case, keyboard interrupt request or keyboard press is not that serious, is not a request which should be handled at which should be handled uh, with that severity. It won't cause that much harm if it is not handled properly, handled in time. So it can be connected to IRQ interrupt request. Means even if we delay servicing that request, also nothing serious will happen. So that is why it may be connected to the IRQ request. And if this is the only source of interrupt, then there is no point in connecting to any other interrupt. It can be connected to FIQ also. But since again this is a case of microwave oven, and since FIQ is already engaged, so we have the next option IRQ, and it should be connected to the IRQ input. Next, question number 8. Interrupt latency is the interval of time from an external interrupt request signal being raised to successful completion of interrupt handler, last instruction executed in the interrupt handler, and first fetch of an instruction, all the above. So interrupt latency is the interval of time from external interrupt request signal being raised to the first fetch of an instruction. So that is why answer is C, first fetch of an instruction. Next question. High priority interrupts will have low average latency, high average latency, no latency, any of the above. So the answer is high priority interrupts will always have lower average latency because they will be serviced, they will be acknowledged when a lower priority interrupt is being serviced. That is why they will normally, they will obviously have a low average latency. The answer is low average latency. Next, low priority interrupts will have low average latency, high average latency, no latency, any of the above. See, since a higher priority interrupt will be acknowledged when a lower priority interrupt is being serviced, so low priority interrupts will have a high average latency. So the answer is high average latency. So that's all, students, for this session. Thank you.